Here we are for our last chapter, chapter 10. It's a short chapter, but one filled with incredible hope. It's a great end of the story. As you can tell, this story is a big story. In fact, it's the biggest story. It's a story that tells the story of all time from beginning to end. It's a familiar story to some of us. It's a true story for all of us. But we haven't seen the end of the story. Not yet. See, we live in the beginning of the end of the story that we are still in the middle of. I know that sounds confusing. Let me read that one again. We live in the beginning of the end of the story. We're near one of the last chapters. But we're still in the middle of the end. And we know it's not the end because we haven't made it back to the garden yet, because that's when the story will end. We get glimpses of the garden here and there in our hearts, in our families, in the church. But anyone who loves this story longs to see the one who is at the center of the story. Did you see that picture? It looks like the original creation picture from the very beginning of the book. The snake crusher is coming back again to wipe away all the bad guys and to wipe away every tear. That's a promise in Revelation chapter 21. I think it's 4 or 5. You should read that. He's coming to make a new beginning and to finish what he started. He's coming to give us the home we once had and might have forgotten that we lost. So keep waiting for him. Keep believing in him. Keep trusting that the story isn't over. God's promises never fail, and the promised one never disappoints. See the eye with the tear coming down? There's this great promise in Revelation 21 that one day there'll be no more crying, no more tears, no more sin, no more death, no more sadness, but God will make all things new. And so just as we started the story with God walking with Adam and Eve in the garden, the end of the Bible tells us that there'll be another city at this beautiful garden, and God will be there with his people. And he uses that same language, that covenant language, that I'll be your God and you'll be my people. Well, thanks for listening to me as I read this book. As I shared, it's one of my favorite because it just in a very quick way tells us the whole story of the Bible. That God loves us, and in his great love for us, he sent Jesus to rescue us. And one day he'll bring us home to live with him in the garden. And everything will be perfect and made better than new. So thanks again for taking time. And don't forget, God's great promise in Genesis 3:15 was fulfilled by Jesus, the snake crusher, who brings us back to the garden.